Hello everyone, this is part 25 of What If Naruto Failed and Chose a Different Path, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. Naruto and Kurenai stayed at the Aburame clan house during the entire procedure of Slade's face restoration. It seemed like a long time before the shine in the silk started to leave, indicating that the procedure was nearly complete. When the web's silk shine left fully, Aburame Shibi examined the thread before indicating that the face restoration was complete. Now to see just how this all went, said Shibi, as he removed the webbing from Slade's face. Kurenai was waiting in anticipation like she never thought she could as the webbing came off of Slade's face. When women see him with me they will be very jealous, thought Kurenai, imagining being the very few in Slade's life to see his face and possibly being the only if not the very rare females around that will see his face without the metal mask. Right now Slade was in a chair with its back facing him as the last of the webbing came off his face. The first thing Naruto and Kurenai noticed was his black hair that was spiky in a way similar to Naruto's, though not as wild looking. "Are you both ready to see my face?" said Slade, his sounding clearer without the mask, as he stood up after taking the eye patch and placing around his lost eye before turning around slowly to see them. Naruto's jaw dropped and Kurenai blushed a red before fainting from the sight of who she thought was the seest man she had seen since the fourth Hokage. Slade's face was well muscled, well chiseled, and let's face it, well shaped. His face was the equivalent of the fourth Hokage mixed with black hair, an eye patch, and one half cold half warm good eye that could calculate things on a level of genius that it made the Naras look mentally challenged in comparison. "Whoa, Slade-sensei, you look great," said Naruto before Slade smiled and was handed a mirror from Shibi, who dared not to speak out of fear of looking like an idiot when nothing came out. "I take it," from Kurenai, blushing, fainting, and the smile with drool on her face. She came to the same assessment. "Though for her I think she's thinking on a more romantic level considering our relationship," said Slade, looking in the mirror and started studying his face, seeing that the process with the spiders had in fact restored his face what it was when he was young. "That too, but still, if women see you without your mask then I won't be the only one with fangirls running around looking for me," said Naruto, smiling while Slade could only grimace at the notion. "Bite your tongue, my apprentice. I don't want anyone else other than those in this room to know what I look like beyond this mask unless I absolutely have to," said Slade, putting the said metal mask back on his face. "All right, fair enough, seeing how it is a valid point, but when you are out on a date with Kurenai-san you will have to remove it so you can eat and show you care about her," said a still smiling Naruto, knowing that Slade would have to take the thing off sooner or later regardless if he wanted to or not. Before Slade could respond, Naruto left via body flicker jutsu, seeing as how he had to get back home to get the shovel and get his training with the others done as well. "That kid will be the death of me, that is if I can a third time," said Slade before picking up Kurenai bridal style and placing her down on the nearest couch. "Did he just say, a third time?" thought Shino and Shibi, looking at each other, seeing they had both paled when they heard that. "Thank you once more for what you have done, Shibi-sama. Please take care of Kurenai until she awakens from her faint spell. Also tell her I will see her periodically as I won't be around until the start of the third exam and that I will make it up to her," said Slade before he left the Aburame clan house via Fox Fire Jutsu, making the bugs go slightly crazy at the power, the aura, and the strength given off by the technique. "Damn," thought father and son while the son realized that he should just forfeit if and when he faced Naruto in the finals of the third exam. Kazama Estate. Slade arrived at the home of his old mortal friend and exited to the garden out back where Naruto was waiting for him with a shovel in hand with a serious look on his face. "Are you sure this isn't desecrating my mother's grave? If it is, I don't care how powerful you are, I will beat your newfound face back to the way it was if not worse," said Naruto, as he had great respect for his family and would destroy anyone or anything that would try to dishonor them. Slade made a scroll appear out of thin air before handing it to Naruto, who took it, put down the shovel, opened it, and began reading it, seeing it was addressed to him. "Dear Naruto, if you are reading this then you know the truth about me, your mother, and the Kyuubi, who was a friend of mine named Slade. If you are also reading this, then that means that the village has not honored my wish to see you as a hero, but rather as the demon that killed their loved ones and their hero. Sorry Slade if you are reading this too. No doubt that is the council's doing while Sarutobi was trying to keep Kohona under control in the calm that followed the chaos from the Kyuubi. Sorry again Slade. If you want to know more about that, see the old man, if he's still alive at this point. Now back to the matter that is at hand in regards to your mother. First, she was a very special woman to me, my son, as she was kind as she was strong despite what people thought of her. Her clan's bloodline limit, as I'm sure you already know, was called genetic memory, that activates at a certain age. The Uchiha clan has always hated them long before I was born due to the fact that to those stuck-up Sharingan users, with the exception of 2, seemed to remember the countless number of jutsus from past generations. That had always made other consider the Uzumaki clan stronger of the 2. The Hyuga clan was a different yet similar story. They did not seem to have any problems with the Uzumaki clan and in fact got along with them well, but never allowed either from any side of the clans to marry with the other. Something about them protecting the secret of their bloodline and how it should remain, in the family, in a non-incest sort of way. Anyway, back to your mother, who is probably buried in her favorite spot in the Kazama estate in an urn. One thing to remember about her, Naruto, is never underestimate your mother's love for you even if you were just born mere seconds before she SD. When you were in her womb she was extremely careful with you, saying you would be both of our clan's future. When she ate, and believe me she did, like an akamaki at an all-you-can-eat buffet, she always ate healthy stuff and never once ate things that were bad for you in the slightest. She beat the holy hell out of me when I offered her ramen once as a snack, so watch it when you meet a lucky lady and she's carrying your child's son. Naruto blushes. Not many people know this, but your mother was a woman, who in my mind had a more spiritual connection than anyone I have ever known other than Slade, though he's a demon so he doesn't really count. One night when she was resting on the bed, since I had taken the couch so she could sleep on her back to support you, she told me an Uzumaki clan secret. Your mother had told me about a secret bloodline trait that has happened in only a handful of Uzumakis to this very date that you are reading this. It is called spiritual afterlife bonding, that gives those who achieve it the power to use their boss chakra when in an object like an urn to be stored there with the essence or soul rather intact in the urn. When you and you alone, Naruto, pick up the urn, your mother's life force in the urn will bond with you and grant you something that Orochimaru would kiss a man for, a way to cheat death. I don't know how, seeing how she never explained it much further, or even if your mother has the ability, there is no real way to check to see if she did beforehand. However, your mother asked me to make the seals and perform a ritual with the help of Sarutobi and his student Jiraiya to ensure a greater chance of success in her possessing it should she after your birth. Naruto, I need you to take good care of the urn as it has more than one ability then to prevent you from as it was designed to protect me as well after I had SD after my fight and death at the hands of Slade. Orochimaru was a man, if you can call him that, who in my opinion was born to make forbidden jutsus. When his secret lab had been raided, Sarutobi showed me some of them, saying how he was experimenting in bring back people from the S into the UN so they would be able serve him should he offer up living boss. Orochimaru would jump at the chance to have an Unsmi serve him in a way that would allow him to destroy Kohona. That urn also has a series of complex seals designed into it to prevent such an event from happening. The seals will work as long as the urn is in your hands or someone else you hand it to of your own free will that you trust like they were family. Take care of your mother's urn while I'm with the death god, and if she did in fact activate the bloodline in her, treat her with respect as well. Signed, Kazama Arashi, said Naruto, closing the scroll, looking at Slade, who put his hand on the boy's shoulder and nodded before Naruto pocketed the scroll, picked up the shovel, and followed Slade to the sacred burial place of his mother. Kohona 1 week later. It had only been 1 week after the preliminaries and everyone could feel the anticipation of the final part of the Chunin exams approaching. Word had gotten out about just what Naruto had said he was going to do to Neji through the hospital staff. All the ninja, who hated the boy, started looking for him in every place he could be, but surprisingly found he was nowhere to be seen. They had every intention of disabling the demon vessel of the chance to do that to Neji. They wanted the Hyuga prodigy to win without so much as a fight, believing that the demon was not worth the boy's time. As this was happening, Tenten, who had gotten out of the hospital and an additional day's worth of rest, started helping Neji practice for the exam. However, she tried extra hard to make him earn his daily rest as a way to get some payback for what he did to Hinata. The only female weapons expert in Konoha had no intention of sparing the Hyuga prodigy any kind of reprieve in his training unless he fell from chakra depletion. Tenten thought it would be appropriate, all things considered, with his cousin recovering from the damage he inflicted on her. Speaking of Hinata, she was released from the hospital with her father by her side with a sense of pride in him, making people wonder what was wrong with him. It was then that people realized he was proud his shy and timid daughter had grown a backbone along with nearly defeating her cousin, who she hated fighting to begin with. She had originally hoped that she would see Naruto during her time in the hospital and he would pay her visits, but sadly he did not. However, he had sent a yellow kit-sized fox to her to keep her company that had a note on it saying he was sorry and he promised to make it up to her later. It was explained in the note, but she passed out from fainting after reading it. Naruto-kun is my knight in shining armor, thought Hinata, as she nearly squealed in glee while in her bed resting that day before doing light training with Kurenai the next. Ino was with Sakura at her flower shop for the umpteenth time, wondering what flower to get Gaara, seeing how not many grew back in Suna. She had taken an interesting liking to Gaara the 1 week that had passed with the help of Temari and Terra, who had told the pink-haired girl what they could about the red-haired kid. He seems to like your type of hair color a lot, so why not get him a flower that will remind him of you? Said Ino, trying to show the girl some of the more interesting flowers of her shop while trying to get her worry for Naruto out of her mind and try to find a good flower for him too. Meanwhile, Shikamaru had been in a Nara equivalent of a literal week of hell on earth, as he had introduced Terra to his mother and vice versa. First, he had been hit in the head with a frying pan for making her break one of her more favorite plates, and then again for not introducing her sooner to the blonde girl that seemed to be infatuated with her ever so lazy son. Not surprising, since the woman did after all want grandkids down the line, and she knew from the boy's father that all the Nara women of the family had to do most of the work to get it to happen. During the week, if he wasn't training with Asuma, he was at home with Terra and his mother waiting for him as they talked about the embarrassing things the boy had done in the past. God must have had decided that women would keep us in line should we go crazy and made 'em all troublesome, thought Shikamaru before being whacked on the head by both his mother and Terra for not paying attention to them. Kiba was in something similar, only in the hospital, when he found out his sister had made a giant "Go Naruto" banner. He screamed in rage and then in pain as he moved too much, causing a nerve to be hit and had to be sedated for the entire week before he could be healed further. Akamaru was taken back home with Hana for proper dog treatment and found that being away from Kiba was far more healthy than being near him. Shino had begun summoning his bug clones into training in the mantis fighting style, so when he made them they would fight like he did in a similar manner. Word had gotten out about their spiders' healing abilities, and they had several of their clan members join the hospital ranks to control the spiders when they were needed. The only stipulation was that the spiders stay confined to the clan house, as there was no proper place for them to be then there. Kurenai, along with her fellow Junin, had been ordered by the Hokage to find Naruto and Slade when word was out they could not be found. Kurenai had been devastated when Slade had left to train Naruto and she couldn't see his face anymore, which caused her to nearly faint at the remembrance of what it looked like for 2 days straight. By the 3rd day she was woozy, but could manage for a while before she had to sit down. Even the old man at the ramen stand was getting nervous, though Choji and Iruka came to visit, but those two alone barely helped his business, and if Naruto didn't return by the end of 2 months, he would be bankrupt. Please almighty ramen gods, send Naruto to me to save my business. I can't survive without his income, thought Chuki, looking up at the sky in the hope that Naruto would return. KOHONA 2 weeks left before the 3rd exam. The missing of Naruto, Slade, and his newfound friends was clear to everyone as the days rolled past, with another week gone by. Even Zabuza and Haku, who had been admitted to the hospital with various injuries including dog bites, didn't know where he was and were just as stumped as the Hokage. The council, seeing this, wanted Naruto declared a missing ninja on the grounds that he abandoned the Leaf Village. Sarutobi argued that just because Naruto was gone didn't mean he had abandoned the village and was training for the upcoming exam. That was another thing that the council tried to remove Naruto from altogether, saying that the demon boy had no place being a ninja to begin with. Sarutobi further argued that Naruto was part of a 3-man genin cell that without him both the Uchiha and Haruno could not compete in and would be punished for trying to ban Naruto from the competition. That of course shut him up, for the moment. Kazama Estate. Temari was sitting in her room on her bed with her massive fan sitting next to it on the wall as it was near the door. She had been wondering where Naruto was and even asked Zabuza and reluctantly Haku when she got out of the hospital for a possible idea of just where the boy may possibly be. Of course neither of the two knew and had tried to help her search along with the others when they weren't training. Some of the crueler and bolder villagers who she discovered hated Naruto like soon as did back home with Gaara for having his demon in him hoped he was in fact S. They were not even afraid to speak out loud about it in front of her since she wasn't from Konoha and assumed she wouldn't understand or care. How wrong they were. About 20 people went into intensive care that day and when she explained her actions to the Hokage he merely smiled at her saying it was fine. As long as she didn't kill anyone. He further reassured her that Naruto was not S when he saw tears coming from her face after she told him why she did what she did. When she asked how he knew he handed her a scroll from Naruto he had just received the day before and when she read it she had almost been floored by what she had read. Do not worry I'm fine, were the 5 written words echoing in her mind. She missed him greatly not because he was handsome, smart, strong, and caring, but what he did for Gaara in removing the insanity that had plagued her little brother. Her brother was now free from a curse that had haunted him since the beginning of his natural life. It was like some fairy tale dream where he was her hero and Gaara's darkness was the evil beast that held her in a castle of fear. In her mind Naruto had slain the dragon just like the hero does in the fairy tales. She smiled to herself wondering just how she would fight him in the exam. She didn't want to lose to him to a degree that he thought she was weak and wouldn't fight him because he was stronger. No, she had held herself to much better standards than that and would prove she was one of the very few girls in Konoha that had a backbone to stand up to Naruto. Even if I get my ass handed to me by him. Oh well, as long as he's the one who holds it, thought Temari, blushing at the thought before getting it out of her head, knowing that now wasn't the proper time for it, yet. Hyuga compound, late afternoon. Neji was training at his home today, seeing how Tenten's training had become more life-threatening than before the exam. At first he didn't understand why she had become so hostile, though he originally assumed it was over his cousin and what he did to her. But that seemed to be only half the reason, as she kept pushing him as if to prepare him for the fight of his life and get back at him at the same time. Why would she do that to me when I'm up against the last of this year's graduating class from the academy? I know the power he created was strong, that was a given, but surely she or anyone else doesn't expect me to take this kid seriously, thought Neji, finishing for the day, seeing how a storm was now brewing and needed to get inside before it rained. When he did, he noticed that some of the branch family members were looking at him worriedly and to some degree, frightened. Frowning, the Hyuga prodigy headed to his family's room in the compound. He stopped when he saw something he thought would never be on his family door. In big blood-stained red letters was the word, traitor, and the Hyuga symbol bleeding in the same color above it as if it were the source of where it had come from. Neji just looked at the word and felt a flurry of emotions come at him when he saw that word on his door. Anger, confusion, and fear, along with several others he couldn't quite distinguish. Why fear? Why do I fear these words and what they represent of me? Was all Neji could think as the storm outside grew with more potency and power, covering all of Konoha in would see like a shadow of darkness had it not been for the rain, thunder, and lightning that fell from it. This intimidation tactic of his won't work on me. He's still fated to lose no matter what he says or does, said Neji to himself before lightning struck the side of his home with a loud boom that had created a fire on the concrete wall on the outside of the Hyuga compound. Neji went to the side of his house to go investigate, and what he saw among others of the branch and main families who were around were struck with some form of fear. What they saw was the spiral symbol of the Uzumaki clan burning into the wall of the house. So Naruto is alive and well. Hinata, you truly have found yourself someone who loves you that much and makes it known, thought Hiashi, as he could see the burning symbol from where he was in the compound. Hinata could see what was happening outside from her window despite the increase in the rain that fell shortly after with her new pet. Her fox companion in her lap was snuggling against her with great enthusiasm. Naruto-kun, are you still that angry at Neji? Thought Hinata, as the rain did nothing to end the raging fire of the Uzumaki symbol burning on the wall. KOHONA 1 week left. Word had leaked out what had happened at the Hyuga compound and had spread like wildfire throughout the village. Some had said the demon in the boy had returned, while others said the demon was finally showing his colors and was going to destroy the village as it tried to years ago. The spiral symbol that had been burned into the wall outside of Neji's house and would not come off no matter how hard anyone tried to remove the mark it left. Naruto, you are more like Arashi than you know. Then again, Hikari had a mean streak in her too when it came to taking things like grudges personally, thought Sarutobi reading the report handed to him by an Anbu about the mark on the Hyuga wall. The Konohamaru Corps, after trying to find a way to find Naruto when they weren't in class or training with Ebisu, found themselves awed by the power of the boss. They had overheard from Konohamaru's grandfather, who was talking with Ebisu outside the old man's office about the disturbance. That and how the storm that kept almost everyone inside, also prevented most from seeing a tower bright light rise from an unknown area within the village. When Anbu Black Ops at the request of Danzo searched the area for any sign of the demon boy, the ninjas reported that they searched everywhere of what they assumed was where the light came from. However, as it stood, they were unable to pin down the light source due to the fact that few people saw it and those who did were too far away. To the ninjas and the villagers, they all assumed that either the Kyuubi had been released or that the demon vessel had SD and Kyuubi along with him. Half the village wanted to run or hide while the other half wanted to celebrate the demon's death. No doubt that Naruto's training is the source of these events and his manipulation of the elements being further proof of it all, thought the third Hokage, wondering just where Naruto's demon entourage was hiding and why there was a beam of light stretching out into the cloudy sky at the time of the storm. Kurenai was wondering the same thing herself. Had she not been an experienced ninja of Junin level, she would have screamed by now. She missed Slade, plain and simple. She missed the strength that he possessed, his calm-like collectiveness, and most of all she missed his face that could melt her heart just with a mere thought. I want to kiss him so much, thought Kurenai, as she had been having dreams of that moment when they did nearly every night she slept. Every other night the dreams became something that would make Ica Paradise series seem pointless to read. Her thoughts about kissing him grew even more this particular Monday morning when she found something on her stomach. When she woke up, she saw a wooden holder with a plate of eggs, bacon, and a glass of orange juice for breakfast served on it. On her right side where her nightstand was, she saw a vase that had an orange and black nine-tailed fox on it in mid-movement in a majestic and graceful way. It was filled with red, white, and black-colored roses with a note attached to it. It read, "Dear Kure-chan, I'm sorry I never had a chance to see you after what happened some time ago with the restoration of my face. I find that teaching Naruto about his family techniques along with keeping his anger in check when around Jin is time-consuming. Despite just how similar those two are around each other, but that's a story for a later date at a later time. In any case, I hope to see you soon and go on a potential date someplace that would fit the two of us nicely. I hope you like the breakfast in bed idea and don't hate me for entering your house uninvited. In case you or I got you, or rather, made you these flowers knowing they fit that dress you wear when not on duty. Love, Slade the Industrial Saboteur Master," said Kurenai, reading the note and holding it to her chest before sighing in pure bliss of the card. She personally couldn't believe he had put the word, love, in the letter and done all of this for her as a way to make up for everything. No doubt in her mind was that Slade was indeed a keeper and she would do all in her power to see that he stayed. No one is going to hurt him while I'm around, thought Kurenai before picturing a scowling Kakashi and his words, demon lover, echoing in her head. That goes double if not TSLE for you. Hitaki Kakashi, said Kurenai, scowling at the image of Kakashi in her head and picturing him being destroyed by Slade before his soul was sent to hell. She didn't notice until later when she was in the mirror a kiss mark on the side of her lips before she fainted into a dream of passionate kissing from the nine-tailed demon lord. Elsewhere, with Kakashi, Hitaki Kakashi sneezed as he entered another day that was not being classified in his many years of living as a good one. Oh no, Hitaki Kakashi was not happy at all, not since the prank Slade did on him had he felt like this. He had visited the third Hokage about a day after the incident at Kurenai's house and his fight with Naruto. The Hokage asked him a series of questions of where he was early that morning and who he was with to speak on his behalf about his alibi. He had half lied and said he was training with Sasuke, which the Uchiha would confirm later, and to his slight surprise the boy even lied about where his sensei was when asked by the old man when asked about the specifics of the timetable. Unfortunately, the entire story that Sasuke gave was not consistent with what Kakashi had said, making the old man slightly annoyed at the Junin when Sasuke unknowingly caught the Junin in a lie. After Sasuke had left, the Hokage told Kakashi to watch himself in where he goes in the morning and not go into people's houses. Kurenai apparently had a special presence detection jutsu in the room that she made that told who was in her house in places that only she was allowed or someone she invited in. Kakashi knew it was a lie, but the Hokage would never be suspected or accused of it since his word was law. The old man had been generous enough to let this incident slide as him being too drunk from a hangover from a late night of drinking too much. However, as punishment he was banned from reading his book until the end of the exam, had to do D-ranked missions for the same amount of time, and he was to pick up the bill the next time Slade and Kurenai went on a date no matter how high the bill was. Did he mention he got severely reduced pay for a good 4 months and was banned from the bookstores that sold the Ika Ika Paradise series? Hitaki Kakashi was not happy to say the least, and in his mind he blamed only 2 people. Naruto and Slade. Thought an angry Kakashi wanting to those 2 a new one for stealing Kurenai away from him and getting him into so much trouble. He would unfortunately have to keep that on hold until he was done training Sasuke with the techniques he learned to help face Lee. He found out that Zabuza was training the guy look-alike to wield a sword similar to his and the sword style that went with it, and had a spar sword to give Naruto to rotate out of when he wasn't using his first one. The fact that such skills were going to everyone, but Sasuke was making Kakashi very irritated to no end. That the people that he thought he knew were helping others instead of Sasuke, who was the last of his clan if he didn't count his older, more powerful missing ninja of a brother Uchiha Itachi. Good Sasuke. Do it again, and this time focus more on your speed while your Sharingan does the rest, said Kakashi, as he drilled this next jutsu he was teaching Sasuke into the boy. Hokage Tower. The third Hokage that was Sarutobi's side at receiving information from Baki about the plans the Kazekage, or rather Orochimaru in disguise, had give the former Sand Junin. The man still wore his sand forehead protector, but knew when this was over he would no longer be affiliated with his former homeland. The man, whose face had always been covered vertically by a white cloth, had seen just how the Kazekage acted long before the man that was Orochimaru took over as a false Kage. The original Kazekage that had been Gaara's father was an absolute monster, who saw nothing but greed and his own desires king off everyone else around him, including his own children. This was something Baki disliked about the man ever since he first became a ninja and was given the 3 Sand siblings to train under his command. He had treated Gaara with the most respect out of all 3 of them, not just out of fear of being ked if he wasn't, but on the grounds that Gaara had more than earned it. With the way the boy had always been raised and treated by the Suna villages, he felt the boy needed to know that there were some people in the world he didn't have to terrorize to get respect. Such efforts on his part had paid off in the end, and even more so when Kazama Uzumaki Naruto appeared and helped Gaara. When he did, Gaara thanked Baki for all he had done for him and told his sensei he was more of a father than his biological one ever was. Baki was glad to hear that, and even more so that the other 2 felt the same way as the Gaara did towards him. However, those moments had to be put to the wayside for now, as the Sandout off-sound invasion plans were handed to the third Hokage. He didn't suspect a thing, did he? Said the third Hokage, looking at Baki, knowing that his former student had quite a knack for detecting such things. No, Lord Hokage, I acted as if everything was going according to plan. The sound ninja spy they have here, Kabuto, gave me these instructions to give to the Kazekage. I made a copy of it and have with me the instructions for what Gaara is supposed to do when the plan starts. To be honest, Lord Hokage, I can't decide who I hate more, the original one or the fake one, said Baki, handing him his instructions for the invasion process. I think they are tied in that category, though Orochimaru is much stronger than one gives him credit for. No doubt on account of his immortality jutsu, he's finally perfected, but even with that he can't escape death, said the third Hokage, giving a slight smile at what he had been told by Jiraiya when he told his other old student what Slade told him. Lord Hokage, said Baki, not understanding what the older man was talking about, even though he was told of the Sanin's ambition to cheat death. When Orochimaru used the jutsu for the first time, it wasn't perfected and had as a clear result of using it he now faces potential, if not some possible side effects. Even perfected, it will not save him from what I learned from my other student and told Sanin Jiraiya. When I asked him about potential side effects, he told me that the perfect form requires he change boss every 3 years due to the boss that he takes constantly rejecting him by that point in time. However, since he used it in its imperfect state, the potential side effect is that the 3 years would dwindle away slowly from 3 years to 2.5 years. As he does the jutsu, he loses more and more time until, like the sand in an hourglass, time runs out, said the third, seeing the shocked look on Baki's face as the man before him came to the same conclusion he had. Whether by the hands of a sly weapon of an enemy or that of Father Time himself, the enemy of Kohono that was Orochimaru would eventually one day face death. Only for him to enter a new life, in hell. I assume the counter-attack plan will be ready before the exam starts, said Baki, as he came out of his startled revelation. They will. You are dismissed, Baki. Oh, and tell my grandson waiting by the door that Naruto is alive and will be at the Chunin exams arena for his fight with Neji, said Sarutobi before getting a yelp from Konohamaru before taking off, making the old man chuckle while Baki just smiled at the antics of the young shinobi-to-be. As Baki left, Shikamaru came in with his father Shika, wondering just what had to be so troublesomely important that they had to see the Hokage himself of all people. You wanted to see us, Lord Hokage, said Shika, looking at the old man curiously, wondering just what the man wanted that would require the two of them. Are Nara Shika and his son Nara Shikamaru. Please sit, I have something to say to you two that involves the third part of the Chunin exams. I would like to pick your brains for a second if you don't mind on something that has come up, said the third Hokage, making the two Naras pale when he said the picking your brains part. Did my wife out off mother put him up to this? Thought both Naras, wondering what the man could mean and hoped it wasn't brain surgery. Kohono week of the third exam. The day finally had come and people were excited about the exams, seeing how the ever-feared Demon Boy was not around. Even more was the fact that the traumatized Uchiha Sasuke was in the finals of the exam itself and in their minds would more than likely face last year's ninja prodigy Hyuga Neji. They think so highly of Sasuke they can't see just how far he will go to end their miserable lives just to get what he wants. They're all just pathetic, said Naruto, watching people heading into the stadium from his perch on top of his father's head. Do not worry about them yet, Naruto. Let's head to the stadium now so we can beat the threat of a potential mob that wants to kill you, said Slade with his other friends behind him. Yeah, you're right, Sensei. Though I want to make a terrifying entrance so Neji will be even more terrified than he already was before, said Naruto, making Jin laugh as it was never a dull moment with this kid. You remind me of Yusuke, that you do, Naruto. I wouldn't be surprised if you two were related in some way or another. If he wasn't stuck ruling Demon World right now, I'm sure he'd join you here to help in your training too, said Jin, making a mental note to ask Slade who the boy's lineage traces back to. No one ever said running Demon World is easy. Now come on, we have a Hyuga clan branch member as well as the other people in the stadium to scare away. I had overheard some of the villagers saying that they think I'm S. Well, I think we should give them all my opinion, or rather impression, on the matter before we prove them all wrong about that. Naruto style, said Naruto, laughing as a plan formulated in his head on what to do. You are a bad boy, Naruto-kun. I love it, thought Dragona, reading his thoughts on the plan, finding it was worthy of his title as the #1 most unpredictable and dangerous ninja in all Hidden Leaf Village. Kohono Stadium. By the time nearly everyone was seated, nearly all of the competitors for the exam had arrived at the stadium. With the clear exception being both Naruto and Sasuke, who were the only ones yet to appear to face their opponents Hyuga Neji and Rock Lee. I knew it, he chickened out at the last second, knowing that his fate was predetermined and would lose to me, just as Hinata did, thought Neji, smirking, knowing he was going to advance easily enough if he faced Lee and get the recognition from the clan elders if he beat the last Uchiha. The proctor for this part of the exam was Shiranui Genma, who had volunteered in taking over for Head Gecko. The sickly Junin was at the moment helping with the defense of Kohono when the invasion began later, noticed this before looking at the Hokage for help on what he should do. He had nothing against He-boy and felt he should be fair to the kid and give him the benefit of the doubt, seeing how strong the kid was according to Gecko when he saw the prelims. The fact that power wasn't used to obliterate over a third of the Kohono populace was a good point in Naruto's favor in his mind. I could start now even with the two not here and disqualify both Naruto and Sasuke, though that won't sit well on either side that support them, thought Genma, looking at the other competitors, seeing their reactions. Gaara was slightly annoyed, Temari was worried, Shino was. A statue, Shikamaru was being, well, lazy. Lee was worried too, but also lifting his new sword up and down with his one arm as exercise while he waited, and finally Neji, to Genma's and Hokage's own disgust, was smirking like he had just fought a hard fight and won. I have no choice but to start the exam. Sorry Naruto, thought the Hokage, rising from his seat, having already said a few choice words with the Kazekage. After the Hokage announced the official start of the finals of the Chunin exams, Genma saw all the other competitors leave except Neji. The proctor saw that the boy still had the arrogant smirk on his ever so confident Hyuga face, expecting to have him call the match as a forfeit. Uzumaki, Naruto, please come down to the arena or you will lose by forfeit, said a slightly disgusted Genma, who heard murmurs from the crowd and yells from that of several others about how the demon was or afraid to fight the Hyuga prodigy. Naruto-kun, where are you? Thought Hinata worriedly in the stands right next to Kiba, who was torn in half about seeing Naruto win and seeing Naruto lose on account that they were both related to Hinata's feelings. Very well, since Uzumaki Naruto is not here, Sarutobi frowns, the winner of the first match is, said Genma, though he never got a chance to say the final words as a gong sound of all things echoed through the arena and the area got slightly darker. What the, was the thought on everyone's minds as a chorus of voices now echoed throughout the stadium, as a dark mist appeared from where the competitors entered to participate. What they saw stunned them as Slade, holding an urn in his right hand, was followed from behind with two robed figures. Figures that several people from the preliminaries noticed Naruto talking to before and after those matches were over. The crowd was freaked out yet slightly pleased that they were carrying a white coffin. Hiei and Kurama were behind them, looking something like protective rear escort, or at least Hiei did, with a serious look on his face, while Kurama looked impassive as if all was right in the world. On the inside he, Hiei, Jin, Tuya, and Slade were laughing, knowing just how deathly this little entrance looked. It was most fitting for demons such as them as it would be for one Kazama Uzumaki Naruto. Sorry we're late. We had to dig up something at a grave, said Slade, showing Genma the urn and gesturing to the coffin before giving a nod to the man, who put two and two together before nodding his head. You can't be serious. I have to fight a coffin, said Neji, trying to ignore the fact that the chorus from the two robed demon shinobi wouldn't stop at they put the coffin vertical. No, not the coffin, but rather what is in the coffin, said Slade, turning to Kurama and Hiei, who both nodded and left to help with the defense of Konoha in their own way. Jin and Tuya, once placing the coffin securely in its vertical position just as they finished their chorus, took 5 steps back, slightly bowing their robed heads. Everyone around them waited as Slade just took one simple step back, holding the urn securely in his hand. Before anyone knew what happened, the dark sky erupted with thunder, with signs of yet another storm similar from a few weeks ago. Then out of nowhere the lightning struck the coffin, bursting into a roaring flame, scaring everyone into nearly pissing themselves. Naruto-kun, thought a terrified Hinata, as the picture in her mind was of horror at seeing the one boy she loved burned into nothingness while inside the coffin. What in the name of, said Neji, though he could finish his words, that everyone was thinking as the coffin door was kicked down, revealing one Kazama Uzumaki Naruto fully dressed for battle. I had heard people speaking of me as if I were Death has no hold on me, said an anxious Naruto, as he was wearing a black and red outfit with a mask similar to that of Kakashi's on his face, with his Jagan eye open for all to see. Slade could only smile at the boy beyond his metal mask as he teleported from the arena to the third Hokage's side, with Jin and Tuya doing the same. Sorry about the Lord Hokage, we felt that we had to put down the vile tongues of the more arrogant villagers here in the Leaf, said Slade, as Naruto waved his hand slightly and the dark mist and sky disappeared from everyone's frightened eyes while the coffin had been turned into ashes. Not a bad genjutsu, Uzumaki, said Genma, smirking at the boy for making everything seem so eerie that even veteran ninja was sweating in the crowd. Whoever said I used a genjutsu? Said Naruto, looking at the now almost calm face of Neji, looked startled once more at what he just said. What? Thought Neji as Naruto folded his arms, showing the long spikes on his arms of his shinobi outfit. All right, if both competitors are ready. First round of the Chunin exam finals will now officially start. Uzumaki Naruto vs Hyuga Neji. Ready. Begin, said Genma, catching the slight nod from the Hokage that he approved out of the corner of his eye. Neji went into his gentle fist stance while Naruto just stood there with his arms folded while his eyes just stared at him. His original two eyes seemed to glow a mysterious blue while the Jagan eye glowed a blood red that seemed to make his very soul feel like it was slowly burning for some reason. I hope you're ready, Neji, said Naruto calmly, cracking his left and right, making people in the audience flinch at one particular snap that they heard. I'm ready to win if that's what you mean, said Neji with his Byakugan activated only to find he had to strain himself from the power Naruto was giving off within his body. No, you are not going to win, Neji. What I meant was that I hope you're ready. For hell, said Naruto, getting into a taijutsu stance that many Junin had not seen in a little over 12 years. It was the fighting style of Kazama clan that was used by one Kazama Arashi. Neji recognized that stance because the clan elders made him memorize it from notes that had been taken on it by several Hyuga observers. Of course, they were only taken after they fought Konoha's Yellow Flash and lost badly. The notes that were taken showed that the stance was a style that combined gentle fist with Guy and Lee's fighting style perfectly. A fighting style that was said could not be beaten by anyone unless they had a demon inside of them, thought Neji, mentally scowling and confused at how this commoner could know that fighting stance, as it was thought the style had SD with the fourth Hokage. Instantly there was a flash of black-red light before a now blinded Neji was kicked in the head and sent flying near the wall, only to be stopped by a tree in the environment of the arena. By this point everyone was shocked at seeing a reddish-black hit Neji, knowing that was the fourth's prized attack. Neji barely got up and shook his head before he then charged forward quickly, gentle fist at the ready, trying to hit Naruto's chakra pressure points. Full, said Naruto, moving with minor steps at high speed, causing Neji to miss every single time. How can he be this fast? Thought Neji, trying even harder to hit the opponent in front of him, finding his Byakugan had become surprisingly insignificant in beating Naruto. Naruto was by this point getting bored and decided now would be a good time to beat the crap out of Neji. Moving even faster than he was dodging, Naruto started hitting Neji in his upper body around his arms and rib cage before he hit Neji square in his chest with a loud and mean-sounding open palm. That attack had sent the Hyuga prodigy flying into another tree. This can't be all you have, Neji. Shadow clone jutsu, said Naruto, making a large army of clones that looked just like him. Naruto mentally commanded 15 of the 35 clones to engage Neji while he and the rest sat back and watched to see if Neji would try anything on them. Let's see what you can do, Hyuga, thought Naruto, keeping his arms crossed along with the others not fighting so no one in the crowd could pick out the original. Neji looked on as he struggled to stand on his 2 feet as his whole body felt like it was on fire at the moment. Your clones are nothing. Kaiten, said Neji, spinning around at a rapid pace, creating a defensive chakra as he struck the 15 clones, turning them all into smoke. Father, is that? Said Hanabi in the stand, speechless like her father was at what Neji had done that was only supposed to be done by the main branch family. Yes, it seems the branch family has been doing more learning of the gentle fist style than I thought, said Hiashi calmly, knowing that Naruto could win this fight, but was just as surprised that Neji learned how to do the Kaiten. Neji knows the Kaiten. No matter, Naruto-kun will still win. I just have to believe in him as he did me, thought Hinata, knowing that no amount of power Neji had would knock Naruto down. Oh man, I should have tried to yell out something about the Kaiten. Oh man, if Naruto knows that I know that Neji knows how to do that technique, he'll hate me, thought Tenten, feeling slightly guilty over what she knew. Not bad. That Naruto kid just sent a small fraction of his clones at Neji to see what he could, so forcing the Hyuga prodigy to use his trump card, said one of the 2 Chunin judges, clearly impressed with the boy's strength. Yeah, it would seem so. Not only that, but had Neji not used it, the beating from the boy's taijutsu in the form of clones would have possibly defeated the Hyuga prodigy, said the 2nd Chunin judge, nodding his head in agreement. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? Said the 1st Chunin judge. Yeah. Uzumaki Naruto is a potential candidate for the rank of Chunin, said the 2nd Chunin before they both smiled, knowing that the ninja keep on advancing at a younger age every year. If you're finished spinning like a little pansy, I can continue beating the holy hell out of you, though in this case with more finesse, said Naruto before he snapped his fingers and all the remaining clones moved in for the K, throwing shuriken and kunai at the boy. I'm not so easy to K as you think. Great Kaiten. Yelled Neji at the end, creating what he did moments earlier, only much larger, hitting the clones and even the original, who being slightly surprised was knocked back several feet, but held fast with chakra his feet as to not to let his body fall back onto the ground. The attack Naruto noticed had sped half of his upper body clothing, leaving only his spiky right arm braca. Only his mask had been spared, though that was the least of his worries, as the female half of the crowd took one look at his muscles before they had all started drooling their mouths dry. Great, just what I need in my life. I can handle ninja, Sanin, and my crooked sensei, but I can't handle fangirls, thought Naruto, now slightly annoyed before seeing that his right arm's bandage was still intact, though it looked a little worse for wear. Seeing Naruto knocked off balance and distracted, Neji saw his one chance to put down Naruto to shut him up for good. You are in my divination field. 64 strikes. 2 strikes, 4 strikes, 8 strikes, 16 strikes, 32 strikes, 64 strikes, said Neji, hitting Naruto with just about everything he had, much to Hinata, Haku, and all the other girls' horror before the boy they all loved went flying back into the ground. Damn. Did Naruto let that happen on purpose, or did he get too overconfident? Thought Genma, hoping it wasn't the latter, or else it could go bad with the judges. It's over, Proctor. I hit his chakra points. He's not going to get up. Looks like for all your scares you are nothing but a fraud and a loser, said Neji, walking away, only to have the storm that had appeared earlier appear once more before a lightning struck the ground in front of Neji, knocking him back now less than 10 feet from Naruto. Suddenly wind swirled around Naruto as his body spun with the wind, a graceful manner, shocking everyone that he could do that. You know, Neji, if I were a normal person, that might actually have a remote chance of hurting me. As it stands, I'm by far not normal. Demonic wind secret art, wind blast jutsu, said Naruto, sending a chakra-enhanced gust of wind at Neji with his right arm, knocking Neji back near the crater made by the lightning bolt. This shouldn't be possible. I sealed all your chakra points. You are not human, yelled Neji as his anger and frustration continued to cloud his mind of the fact that he would most likely lose. The third Hokage winced at that, wondering how many times a much younger Naruto had received harsher words that were of similar at him. No, Neji. Tell me something I don't know, said Naruto in a whisper that only the boy could hear. What did you say? Said Neji in his own whisper, looking horror-struck at what Naruto whispered to him. Are you shocked, Neji? Because if you are, then prepare for some more. Demonic ice art, chakra-draining hypothermia jutsu, said Naruto before channeling chakra from his body as he lowered himself down and channeled it into the ground, manipulating it as he did to become so cold that it turned the very ground frozen into ice. That and Neji's legs. What did you do to me? Said Neji, feeling his body up to his waist now being numb and covered in ice, and could feel it draining his chakra from his body. As its name implies, Neji, this jutsu drains your chakra while keeping you frozen, with a more than likely chance you'll get hypothermia unless I cancel the jutsu personally. Though with the way you treat Hinata during the preliminaries is unforgivable, and if it wasn't for your dear uncle I would kill you here and now. I would possibly enjoy it as I perform this little execution before every single person in this stadium, whether I was told to or not. Also, let's not forget what I told you in the preliminaries when we would face off against each other, said an angry Naruto, drawing his sword and moving around the frozen from waist down Neji. So do it already. You have your chance. Go on. Do what you said you were going to do. Go on and take out my eyes. Do it, you coward, said Neji as he tried to stand his icy ground against this being, who now held ironically his fate in his hands. I would certainly like to, Neji. You have no idea how much I have pictured this moment in my head since the very beginning of my training. Every move I have made against you was designed for this very purpose of ensnaring you in my trap. Despite all your skills, all your techniques, and all your talk on fate. It is you that is the loser and the fraud here in this stadium. Not me, said Naruto, finally ending his circle and now staring at Neji with all three of his eyes to Neji's pale too. Then what are you waiting for? You have me at your mercy, so why stop? Said Neji, feeling weaker as the ice around his waist drained his chakra. Because Hinata made promise not to do what I said I was going to do when we fought here. You should thank her for having me show you mercy, said Naruto, holding his blade to Neji in case Neji decided for one last attack with his still free arms. She shouldn't have interfered. I don't need her pity. I don't need to thank that spoiled little main family symbol of weakness. You know nothing of the history of hate between the main and branch families, said Neji before he was backhanded hard at the hands of Naruto's left hand that caused Neji to stay awake and feel pain at the same time. I know enough, you stupid idiot. What is it with so-called geniuses, and the fact you're all stupid for not being perceptive of what you see around you? Narrow-mindedness is such a stupidity today that is hardly seen today even among shinobi of the leaf. You are so angry at Hinata that you can't see straight. Even with your eyes you are blind to the truth, yelled Naruto, giving Neji another wake-up call, with his left arm even harder, even making the Hokage flinch at the impact of the hit. What do you mean? Said Neji, as blood left his mouth as the hypothermia would kick in soon. Hinata is a gentle soul, Neji. She is not spoiled. She is by far the least spoiled Hyuga in that godforsaken compound of yours that you call a house. She cares for you, Neji, as any true family would when one of their family members is in trouble. When I told her in the hospital about taking your eyes from you, she practically did everything in her power to getting ready to beg me to not do that to you. Hinata pleaded with me in front of her own sensei, Guy, Lee, and all the rest just to spare your life. Also, you could hopefully be able to see things as she does and stop being such a damn narrow-minded asshole. Now, you look me in the face and tell me that's not the love of a family member. A family member, who is trying to protect what relatives she has left in that clan of yours so she can get to know and trust you, said Naruto, using his Jaganai now to sustain Neji's conscious state, since without it the boy would fall to a frozen hypothermia state. Neji, to his credit, looked into Naruto's eyes with realization at what the boy said to him and gave the three-eyed boy a nod of understanding. What have I done all these years? I have been so cruel to Hinata I couldn't see the truth even when I was constantly seeing it. Naruto is right. I am a fraud, thought Neji, as Neji fell into unconsciousness and Naruto released the jutsu, returning the ground to normal and freeing Neji of potentially being a CS-pled ninja taken out in his prime. Proctor, I won. Call the match, said Naruto, holding Neji for the medic ninjas to put on the gurney so he could get medical attention. Yes. Well, winner of the first match is Uzumaki Naruto, said Genma, getting a set of mixed responses from the crowd. Some had yelled saying he was a demon. Others cheered in approval of freeing at least one Hyuga clan member from the constant preach of fate controlling life. Naruto's eyebrow twitched when she saw Hana's "Go Naruto" sign that had appeared. When Kiba saw it, he face-faltered and growled at both his sister and Naruto for getting his sister drawn to him, whether he was responsible for it or not. Note to self, K Naruto, thought Kiba, thinking of all the ways he could K his fellow ninja comrade before his sister tried to K him for it. Will Rock Lee and Uchiha Sasuke please enter the ring for the next match, said Genma as Naruto had left the arena floor and appeared on the balcony with the other competitors. Looks like you are up, Lee. Now show Sasuke team what it means to be a true genius of hard work, said Naruto, sitting on the railing with his arms folded, ignoring the staring Temari was giving his upper body, as his upper clothing had long since been gone from Neji's great chitin, leaving only two bandaged arms with spike braces on each one. Yosh. Time for Kohona's green beast to show his flames of youth and his newly learned sword style, said Lee before leaping over the railing and onto the ground with a loud thud, though the boy was unharmed from all the time he trained. It's bad enough we have one Mato guy, but I don't think we can handle his mini-me of a clone when the kid gets older and wears the vest to go with the green spandex. Though I must admit the added-on green camouflage padding on his elbow and knee joints fits him well, thought an amused Genma, having a distinct feeling that a certain leaf Junin by the name of Kazama Momoki Zabuza had quite the considerable hand at making Rock Lee's fashion more tolerable to the eyes. Yosh. Bring on Uchiha Sasuke so I may show him hard work is the best kind of work of all, said Lee, enthusiastically waiting for Sasuke to show up. Zabuza, do you think the Uchiha will show up? Said Haku, looking around for the boy and his Junin sensei. If they do, they will be late, and they are both late, then they're disqualified, said Zabuza, finding it amusing that Kakashi's lateness caused his pupil to lose in this exam. The ultimate irony, thought Zabuza, smirking behind his bandages, wondering just how Kakashi would react to getting his pupil disqualified for his tardiness. Sasuke, Uchiha, come to the arena now or you will forfeit the match with Rock Lee, said Genma, looking around for Sasuke and Kakashi, finding that being late was a serious point against them. Lord Hokage, surely you can let this match be postponed for a later time. After all, it's the last survivor of the Uchiha clan from what I understand, said the Kazekage, as he now looking at the Hokage, not knowing that the Hokage knew who he was underneath the disguise. I didn't know you played favorites, Kazekage. Even still, we have rules about lateness, and it just so happens that when a ninja is late in anything, it could result in his or her comrade's life being forfeit at the hands of an enemy. We will not postpone the match just for your amusement and will continue should he not show up in the next 2 minutes, said the Hokage, knowing that the Kazekage would be seething beyond his veil and fake skin. After 2 minutes passed, Genma shook his head and mentally shamed Kakashi for being so late to the exam. As a result of Sasuke Uchiha not being here, said Genma, raising his hand to declare Rock Lee the winner, even though the kid looked disappointed at no being able to fight the Uchiha, but at the same time glad he advanced to face Naruto. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.